Alrighty. Camera's wobbling. Hello. This is the first dev vlog. I hate that word. Absolutely so much. For Path of Progress. That's the game working title for a game I've been working on for a while. If you read the well, I wasn't animating. If you read the previous dev blogs, I think we're going to be doing these from now on simply because it's going to probably be a little quicker. This one definitely wasn't, simply because, first time finding out my webcam doesn't do 16 by 9. Sorry about that. Um, and getting mic set up, all that stuff probably took a little bit longer than writing something up would have. But I think this might work better in the long run. So why doing a dev vlog for a game that's definitely not close to release? Um, as any creative will tell you, building things and building things that take a long time, such as a indie game, you could get a little in the weeds a bit and not realize the progress you're making. That could, introduce imposter syndrome. It can introduce all kinds of things in your life that make you feel like you're not making as much progress, path of progress, um, as you should at a given time. But taking like a few minutes, and that's all these vlogs are really going to be, is sharing with you all what's gotten done. For one, I need kind of like to get a following eventually if this game's ever going to do well. But two, um, remind myself that progress is getting made. You know, it's I think it's good for every creative to take a moment, sit back, and look back at what they've gotten done. Um, if you see me looking over to the left here, it'll be looking at my notes because a lot has gotten done this week. Um, so let's just get into it. As you can see, I got my buddy Hero here. They are, completely naked right now. If you read the previous devlog, I'm probably going to be doing that, um, making that comment quite a few times going forward, at least for this video. Hopefully in the future, not so much. Um, and hopefully I get a new webcam to be able to, zoom in and stuff like that. Um, but the we got our good guy Hero here, who they're completely butt ass naked. It's a little unfortunate, the big thing that got introduced in the last devlog is our gear system. Eventually, this is going to be kind of like a chop shop of sorts where you'll be able to scroll through all your different armor pieces. Currently, there's only a couple, two armor pieces, your default, which during gameplay you were actually on this, would not be good. And yes, I know that the images are squished, kind of working for functionality right now, not polished. So the fact that these images are a little distorted, totally normal. Anybody who's a Unity dev knows it's a checkbox to preserve aspect once you get into the UI. Just haven't gotten to that because it's not a priority. But the idea here is it's going to be like a chop shop for as you unlock gear, you'll be able to come back here. Still working the what is that path for unlocking gear? Because right now we're just working on core mechanics rather than like auxiliary systems like that. But I'm gonna go ahead and kit out with the first set of armor pieces that you get in the game. This will be what the player generally just ends up with. You can see in the bottom, again, graphical issues aside, with them not lining up perfectly. This armor is kind of shit. It's I'm not gonna get into story stuff really, but hopefully people get a laugh of how they get this armor when the story comes in. Um, so one big change that happened this week is, previously when you slashed, when you went and used your melee, the two things. One, it was very uninspired. It was just kind of like that now we have a particle effect. I haven't hit the button yet. Show you in just a second. But more importantly is after looking at it for, as long as I have been, I thought to myself, I think the whatever attack you're doing needs to be in the forefront. It needs to pop up into the front so that way then you get more of a visual of it. So now when we do attacks, you see that particle effect. of the little slash, you'll notice that the melee arm is now in the front. And as soon as I go to aim with my gun, that pops into the front. I'm thinking of like a particle effect or something like that, so that way then like as you switch arms, there's like a little shoulder effect where like they teleport, something like that. Because Hero is a character who's kind of like holding their body together with just like energy, right? Trying to keep all these pieces together. Um, Going off of that, um, one thing that you may have noticed that is different from before, I ended the Devlog last time around saying that we were going to be working on this UI in the top left. Looking at it here in this video, it's way too big, so it's going to get shrunk down. But it wasn't responsive last time. The graphics were made, but it wasn't actually like doing anything. Right now, there's no enemies in the scene. That's coming before the video's over. But we do have a little cheat where if I press the F key, I do take damage, and we'll see that I do end up, actually losing health there. The game's going to be like one hit, one health. And each piece, this is kind of like the core mechanic of the game, right? And I'm really excited about this, the fact that it's working. After I lose all the health nodes on my head, because my head is the currently equipped, like primary piece of gear in the damage distribution system, that's what it's going to be called. You can see that my head disappeared. It reverted back to that default head. And now the torsos come up, and torso has 4 health. When I equip, if we were to go back into the equipment section, eventually when whatever NPC is in there giving the information, which I know who it's going to be, but I'm going to keep that a secret, is going to tell you like the stats, how much health it is, what does it do, stuff like that. So if I press this 4 more times, more noticeable, you'll notice my torso has changed back. Really tricky getting the legs to move to where they're supposed to be for every torso. That took me like weeks to figure out. And it's going to result in a lot of detail. Now, this gun, open to like feedback on the gun in the hand, because like these icons probably are going to change eventually. But the big thing here is the gun is your ranged weapon, right? I always want the player to have a ranged weapon, to have a melee weapon. I'm not going to show the default melee weapon because it kind of doesn't work right now. It works, but it's really janky, and as soon as you start moving, it breaks. And I'm going to change it because right now it's just a shield, which is not great in my opinion. Maybe it'll stay that way. I'm not sure. But again, once I press F a couple times, get my arm back. I have my normal arm. One more time, I get my legs back. I get my other arm back. You'll notice we get an error in the bottom there. I'm not going to go into the gameplay of when you get back to this state, but this is not game over necessarily, okay? There are ways in which I'm just going to leave it there. We'll get back to that in a later devlog because this is not the point. There's a bigger point that I want to get to. I'm not a video editor, so there's going to probably be a cut right about now. And we're back. I had to reset some things up because I don't have an easy reset. I don't want you guys to have to sit there and watch me turn Unity off, turn it back on, or not turn it off and turn it back on, but hit play and restart hitting play, so that way then you guys can see the game. Now, big thing besides the UI, besides the slash, besides the weapons, one thing I forgot. Big thing that we do have here is in previous iterations, it was just aim and you just started blasting, right? That I did take back, just because it felt, I don't know. I do want to have like some kind of overheat mechanic. I'm kind of anti-ammo count type stuff. I'd rather have the overheat mechanic or maybe an ammo count. We'll play around with that, simply because I want to give players reason to like switch their gear up. I'd rather it be because they find a better piece of gear, because they find because they've lost a piece of gear, Like they lost their cool gun and now they're back to the default hand, so they have to go find a new gun because there are gonna. This is a roguelike. You're gonna find new pieces as you're playing, right? Um, but that's again later system, not core gameplay. We're going to figure that out as we go along. So we are back to you can just shoot right with right trigger. Normal mechanics. Once you start hitting slashes, as soon as you start aiming, you're gonna be good. The dash is still in here, but the dash with these legs are actually broken, so I'm gonna not show that. And just isn't it's supposed to spawn something and it isn't right now. Haven't gotten to fixing it because it wasn't the priority of the week. The big priority of the week after getting the UI like interactable was our enemies, because I'm gonna be doing a combat test soon. I'm gonna start with our spear guard. Anybody who wants to workshop a name, not like in game but in files, our next enemy's name is Jeffrey. We'll see him. He basically just gets a platform and runs place to place. This platform, again, just debugging stuff. It's like leftmost section was like its boundaries was never set up quite right. Oh no, he's just having a problem. Well, that's not ideal. It was working fine last night. Probably another break right there. I was moving the wrong object and I was like, wait, why is my thing broken? So let me go ahead and restart this real quick. I said I wasn't going to do that to you guys, but this is just a dumb error right here. Probably because of the resolution of my screen. Let's go ahead and equip our gear real quick. Maybe we'll cut this out. We'll see. But here we go. There's my gear. It's all nice and happy. Let's turn on our spear guard. Like I was saying, down for any kind of names that we want to name this guy. You can see he just does a normal patrol back and forth. I'm really happy with the animation here. It seems really natural, and that's with Unity's 2D IK. It just kind of like it makes the limbs work really, really well. I think he needs a little bit more of a redesign, like a little bit more fine tuning, but I'm pretty okay with it. Now, when we drag Hero up here, where are you, my boy? Boink. We're gonna see that right now there isn't like a alert indicator. There is ideally supposed to be. And there will be eventually. But right now, I was just trying to get enemy behaviors down. So a lot of the visuals, like animations and whatnot, and as you can see, I'm not actually taking damage, weren't the point here. It was just get the behavior, like the AI state machines working correctly. So if we look here, as soon as he is within range of me, he will start attacking. And obviously this isn't supposed to just turn blue. We'll get some particle effects or something on there, but he's just trying to, stabby stab us. And if I take Hero away, I actually don't know what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure he just returns back to his patrol. Um, no, he does not. He still wants to get us. So that'll obviously be a bug to work out. But that's one NPC. His design's kind of been a thing for a while. We're going to turn him off before he freaks out completely. This is a brand new one that I'm really, really excited about. I'm going to go ahead and bring the game view up because there really isn't too much I have to do with him. This is Jeffrey. He's not very happy that he has a what I'm calling my equivalent of a head crab on him. The head crab has kind of like taken over his mind a bit there. And if we zoom in, actually, I'll go ahead and zoom in on him so that way then we can see the little animation. He, for the most part, like gets corrupted by the little head crab on his back, and that's going to be relevant to the story and like of what's exactly going on. But yeah, he's kind of shooting us against his will. I'll post a couple screenshots on the website of like his various stages. I think I can probably open up his prefab real quick and give us like a look-see as to what he what he looks like. He's generally a happy guy, a happy little security guard doing his job for the Trinity, which is our gods in the very beginning of the game, right? But he does go through a bit of a transformation that I can't imagine he's too pleased with. Um, his initialization animation is a bit, oh no, what is this thing behind me? Then goes to his movement with the thing behind him. He's kind of lazy when he doesn't have the guy on his back. He does have an attack prep where he sucks in his arms. I really like that bit. I got to playing with masks a little bit on this. It was kind of fun. If you haven't used sprite masks, by all means, that's how you can make things like disappear, just like how those arms go in right there. I need to change the color of these to make them a little bit darker, make it look like, hey, this is just like an empty zone there. Hey, these videos are now I think about it, actually gonna be good notes for what's going forward. And then I got some clip in there. Not super happy with that, but we will edit this animation when it's more important, and we can see like the veins have now corrupted, different parts of him. The turret comes out, and this is when his attack actually gets started, right? And then it goes back in, and he chases you around. That might change actually, because I think that's kind of weird. You should have a pre-cannon, post-cannon movement animation, but we'll see what's going on. The next guy, I'm actually going to start with his animation simply because I love him. He's my favorite. Let's go to our crab. The actual crab is an enemy as well, right? Because we got to have those small enemies. It's just like thinking game design wise, it's cool to have like the big guard with the spear. It's cool to have the flying guys. I have a couple more ideas, but I figured these three are good enough just to start with. I've actually been doing a lot of research for, Dead Cells, Rogue Legacy, Gungeon, just to see how many what's the enemy variety in these excellent roguelikes. Off the top of my head, and I should have brought this up because I have it written down somewhere. Can't tell you, but it is more than 3. So we have to have more than 3 enemies just at the get-go. Another thing, sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. Melee combat, hard to do. Hard to make feel right, and that's where you saw the slash animations earlier. For anybody who's like getting into game dev, watch melee combat in games that you would like are trying to like not emulate but like take inspiration from, frame by frame. I recorded Rogue Legacy, I recorded Have a Nice Death, and oh, there's one and I'm forgetting it. This is gonna bug me. What was the first one? Oh, Hollow Knight, duh. And like actually watch like the slash animations. I was very surprised to find out, because anybody who knows me knows I'm not an artist. Getting into art with this, um, that the uh blades disappear, or like they don't actually go. They start, and sometimes they don't even start. Sometimes it's just the particle effect, and then they end. Right, like the blade will appear at the end. It's really interesting. Um, after playing Rogue Legacy for 2 for the first time, I'm gonna be probably switching up our melee animations a little bit because I got a little bit more inspiration. I did a little bit more research looking at that. But back to the crab, because I'm rambling. He's cute. Look at him. He's so menacing. He has a couple animations. He has a run, which is gonna give everybody, not great vibes. I need to update this run. He used to run a little bit differently. Obviously the tank needs to move a little bit. Can't just be static like that. But his jump attack animation is, he's like he's shimmying. He do the shimmy. And it's really great, right? And you might be thinking like, wait, hold on, what's he gonna do? And you're gonna hate it, I promise you. Because his attack really, oh, actually we don't even use that anymore. No, yes we do. That's a lie. We're gonna go ahead and let it rip and turn on our head crab. But in order to not like have Valve come after me, I'm gonna name him Blepis. These are the Blepi, not actual game names. But that's what they're gonna be called in the back end for me, so I can not call them head crab. But yep, here he comes. He zooms at me, and then he jumps and goes down. Now, that little movement right there, you see he's not moving? That's a rest animation that just hasn't made it in yet. All right. I had to design Jeffrey and that took 2 days. And the mind explosion of wait, the blade disappears when they do slashes. Um that was another 2 days. So pretty much, guys, that's what's been cooking this week. There is one little thing. My wife asked me, "What the heck is this thing? This guy right here?" Let me expand the game window. It's a little sprinting guy. It's gonna change, I promise. But the UI here again also gonna change because I want to make it look more like lights. Does after you sprint, slowly refill. It's really hard to see with the yellow right now, but this is programmer halfway from program 2/3 of the way from programmer art to like actual polished assets. This is a lightning bolt. I didn't care about supers this week. I was like, yeah, whatever. We do still have our super. It just killed the crab, which was kind of cool. Um, but as you can see, whole goal here was just to get these enemies working this week. Figure out why the melee didn't feel right, and I think I'm like 80% of the way there. In doing that, figured out a little bit of controls, like the oh, pause, rewind, because if I think in the screenshots last time there were orange orbs floating around. The bullets for your default arm now actually look like they should come from that arm a little bit. They're just circles, but they're not orange anymore, and they actually get destroyed by the walls, which is pretty nice. Um, but yeah, getting the enemies, getting the UI, getting those slash effects, and yeah, been a couple bugs. There was a double jump that was never meant to be, but maybe will eventually come back because I kind of like the way it felt. But it was a bug. Developers always talk about how those bugs that turn into mechanics. I think the double jump might actually be good, but it was very inconsistent because it was a bug. Um, I actually want to do a video on jumps because the add force to a rigid body that most tutorials tell you it don't feel good at all. I don't know how to end these. So, I appreciate anybody who's taking the time to like actually take a look at these. Um, Again, hopefully someday these things get a following and this game, kicks ass. Um, but I appreciate anybody who's taking the time to watch them. So, thank you. Have a wonderful week.